Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to do something I've never done before, and that is cut glass with one of these glass cutting tools. So figured instead of driving to the other side of town, trying to keep from breaking this piece of glass in the process, we would just go ahead and try it at home, and worst case scenario, we buy a new sheet of glass. So this thing is about 59 inches long. We need it down to 55 and about an 3/8, I think. And then I'm going to use some sandpaper on a Dremel to try to smooth out the edges, just to keep the edges down. And so this is a sheet of glass we're going to put on top of my son's gaming desk, which he wanted a white one, and he eats and spills stuff, and so there's just no way that that desk is going to last more than a week without getting ruined without this. So this is the ITRK glass cutter. Comes in this nice little case. It has 3 cutting heads. Can be used for tile, glass, mirror, mosaics. It has a little screwdriver in here to take on and off the set screw, which allows you to swap out the heads. My eyes aren't good enough here. It came by default with the 6 to 12 millimeter head on it, and it's got a little tungsten wheel on it. At the time of this video, there's like 11,700 and some positive, well, mostly positive reviews on Amazon with like a 4.1 star rating. And at the time of this video, it's also the #1 best-selling handheld glass cutter. So this thing is going to just kind of press down and glide across. So I've got my setup here. Also in here is a little, looks like kind of like an eyedropper. That is to apply the glass cutting oil, which I kind of missed the fact that I needed that when I was ordering it, even though it was in the graphics on this item on Amazon. So I'm going to use a little bit of mineral oil, which I've read should be fine. If you're doing lots and lots of cutting, it says that that can gum up. They don't advise it in the long term. Some people use WD-40. I could do that as well, but I figure I've got some cutting board mineral oil, food grade mineral oil that we're going to try. You can put it in the back of the cutter so that it just gravity feeds down into the wheel. So we're going to do some of that. This is the only cut I plan to make at this time. So we'll put it in here. We'll clean it out real good afterwards. This cut should take less than 5 seconds once I get it done. So other tools that I have are a tape measure. I have a little Expo marker, so a erasable marker. And this is my straight edge, which I think is going to work really well. This is a drywall T-square. So it's 4 feet wide. I'm going to line it up on the edge here of my island, but really push the glass out to it to make sure that I've got it squared up on there. And then I should be able to run right down the edge. One thing that I noticed is that I need to account for the width of the cutter, which looks like it might be 1/8 of an inch. So we need to go probably 55 1/4, and then that'll get me to 55 3/8. When I cut, give me a little bit of room in case I take off anything in the scheme of my sanding, which I shouldn't, I don't think. So what I've seen is people go with like a 20 grit, a 40 grit, and then you can just keep going up to polish it even smoother with higher end grits. So I just want to knock it down so it's not sharp. It'll go in the corner away from my son, but I don't want any chance of it. And this only works on like non-tempered glass. This goes up to 20 millimeters, which is about 3/4 inch thickness, down to 2 millimeter, which is very thin as well. And I'm working on a 3/8 inch, which is somewhere between 9 and 10 millimeter. So I'm going to just stick with the default head that's on there. And once we get it going, I'll show you what it looks like. I forgot to mention that it also has a nice illustration of how to use this. So the instructions are what I feel pretty decent, pretty adequate. Fill that up. I'm just gonna put that one squeeze in there. I think that should be plenty. Get it out of the way. And I'm guessing as this thing slides up and down or pushes up and down, it's going to release that because there's nothing dripping out right now. All right, here we go. This is my first time ever cutting glass. I'm going to line up our marks that we measured. And I used black, and I'm using on a black speckled piece of granite, which makes it a little bit more difficult. I've seen a lot of people use like a non-skid surface, so this is probably not the best surface, but we're going to tap out just a tiny little bit to allow for the width of this cutter. Hold this down nice and firm. It says not to score the same place more than once because you can mess up the head of the cutter. So what I watched on the channel was then they took this and they put their cutter right under the score. I've actually seen a few different places where people either tapped on the bottom just to get that started, and they put it right on there and just gave it a push. So should probably have some safety glasses on. I don't have them handy, so we're just gonna give it a push here. That did not work. Bring it off the edge, tap through that. It looks like I could use a little bit of extra cut right on the end where it started. A little bit off my cut there. Probably another good reason not to do that. And now I'm just going to do it off the edge here. Well, I got all of it except for that end where I had to restart my cut. And it cut really nice the rest of the way, except for that spot. All right, so I got to cut to 55 3/8, which was my goal. I do have a little bit of a boogered up edge over here where it didn't completely cut on that one section. And then I went back with a tile cutter thinking that I'd be able to just pop that scored piece off, and it came off a little jagged. So with some 80 grit sandpaper on a Dremel, you could use a palm sander, orbital sander, or something like that. I use this Dremel. This is a variable speed contour sander. I was able to smooth the whole edge down, so I think it's going to do what we needed it to do. And frankly, we had this glass in the closet since we got rid of my wife's desk, and we're planning on setting it at the curb or giving it away. So it's got a new life. Again, not perfect, but I think what I think my mistake was I probably needed to bear down a little bit harder and maybe put a towel underneath of it afterwards to where when I pushed down, it broke square. When I took it off the edge here, it caused the brake to kind of angle a little bit on the edge. So frankly, I was a little nervous about pushing on it. Like, I had to give it a really good pop to get it to come loose. So this is 3/8 inch glass. It's pretty thick. Anyway, I think that the glass cutter did its job like it's supposed to. It was me, the person using the glass cutting tools, that didn't know what they were doing, but we got what we needed, and I think that this is a decent little glass cutting tool. So thanks for watching.